In this video, we're going to take a look at the Beyond Bullets guidebook. So this little book has plenty of ideas for bullet journaling, for weekly spreads, daily, monthly, habit trackers, all those types of core spreads. It also has some suggestions for supplies to use in your bullet journal. And I will just preface this by saying the book was published in 2017. So to be honest, it does include plenty of layouts that I'm sure we've all seen done a million times over on Instagram and blogs and YouTube, etc. But I think for back in 2017, this probably would have been a really, really good book. Nowadays, you'll probably still get some inspiration from it, but perhaps not as much. It's no longer in print. I actually had to get this secondhand off Amazon. So I'm going to show you all of the inside pages because I assume no one else will be able to buy it either. So you can just pause the video if you want to have a closer look at any of the layouts. So it's quite a thin book. It's probably only about, I'd say, 8 millimeters thick. It's a decent page size. It's about, I think it was 7.5 inches high by about, 7.5 inches wide by about 9 inches high. So that's a fairly reasonable page size, which I would actually prefer because some of the other like guidebooks that I've seen in the years since have been about A5 page size, and that's just too small. I really don't like when they make them that tiny. I would much rather a bigger page size. So some instructions on how to use the book. And then we have part 1. Love this photo of all the pens lined up. The Tri-Plus, I do highly recommend those pens as well. They're pretty much the only needle tip pen that I'll actually use. They're more like a fine liner. And then we have an introduction. Again, you can just pause it if you want to read these. I feel like all this kind of stuff, it's all a bit obvious, so I'm not really going to focus too much on that. Then we go to the supplies section. Now, there was nowhere near as many options for notebooks back in 2017, but I do think that the things that they've pointed out are still true. And some of the page sizes, well, those are all still quite common. So that's still, you know, useful information. Just the brands, I think you would need to go online to find some more recent bullet journal brands. Do highly also recommend ring-bound, disc-bound notebooks. Don't worry about the disadvantages there. They're amazing. I love disc-bound. Would always recommend disc-bound. Some pens. Again, love these Papermate Inkjoy Gel. I always use them. Always do a pen test in your bullet journal notebook. So, continuing on. I do wish there was maybe some more recommendations for brands, but I mean, back then there probably wasn't that many to choose from. Then we have the best part, the tips and tricks. So I really like, obviously keep an index, but things like, you know, use washi tape to mark different sections of the notebook, use the sticky notes, have a fold out color code, do some tracing. I often do that if I'm doing like little doodles, like normally for my Christmas spreads. I can't draw a tree at all, so I'll just go on Google and I'll print out an image and then I'll just trace it onto my bullet journal page. Gives you some tips for dealing with mistakes and how to do little flip out glides. Then we have some of the core pages. Now I did want to just show this because I thought this was a really good diagram to help you figure out how you're going to lay out your notebook. So I like the visual of these little squares here showing, okay, what am I going to put where and how am I going to order my notebook. So if you're not sure, I would definitely recommend doing one of those for your own needs to lay out your book. And then gives you some tips on routines, things like annually, end of the month, end of the week, each evening, what are you going to do? So I do really like that. I'll let you pause the video here if you want to read that section. Then we have some other page layout ideas. Again, things like that. I think we've all seen that done like quite a few times. But if you get a bit overwhelmed by all of the inspiration and ideas that are available now, you can always come back to one of these books if you just want to go back to basics and have less options to choose from. If you're not sure where to start, you can pick something from this book. So we have some different layouts here, like obviously columns, gives you some ideas on when you might use it and advantages and disadvantages. Love this rainbow color wheel here. Some long-term planning, monthlies. So just goes through everything from basically the first pages of your planner all the way through to what would be likely at the back. Some different layouts again. I do wish these were a bit bigger on the page for being such a large page size. I think the images with the layouts are quite small. Nevertheless, some good ideas. I love this layout, that looks so nice. Some weekly planning pages. Again, you can pause it and have a look. Some nice simple layouts in here, some that are probably less common. Daily planning layouts. And some charts. Then we have some inspiration here with all the other pages you might want to include. Absolutely love this map. Really like travel, so really like this map so much that I probably wouldn't put it in a bullet journal notebook. I'd probably want that on like a poster and put on the wall rather than hiding it. But it's a really good little map to mark where you've been. Health and wellness, some ideas for lists, projects, and then we have some more inspiration. So I do really like when people show different ways of how they like to do headers in their notebook. So my handwriting's quite messy. So if I'm going to do something sort of decorative with my handwriting, it will generally be the header. So I do actually always look at these sections in these guidebooks, and they're the sections that I actually find the most helpful to give you different ideas. So you can see some simple little tweaks to just a simple word, and you could do some shadowing, make it bold, add a little border. Gives you some tips on how to do different types of fonts, like this typewriter style font, quirky, and then some different banners and frame ideas. So if your layout doesn't change each week, some different ways that you can incorporate elements to make it look different would be the banners and the text and the colors, just so it doesn't look so plain and same every single week. Some nice simple little page border dividers. And there is some mini tutorials on like how to draw them, so how to do some realistic looking doodles, including things like everyday items. So most people are probably going to have something to do with their car in their planner, so it shows you how to draw a little car, some nature doodles. I did actually try one of these tutorials for the doodles in this book, and it turned out all right. So if you're not sure where to start with doodles and you cannot draw at all like I cannot, then have a go at those. Some other ideas. I do feel like there could have been some more weekly, monthly page layout ideas in this book. And again, they're quite small, the little photos that they do show of the layouts that are included. So like these, I would want these much bigger and much more options to choose from. Other than that, I think it's a good spread between what supplies you should use, monthly spread, daily, weekly. So they call it long term, but I call it like annual overview type planning, how to draw doodles, header page ideas. So it's a good guidebook to get started if you're not sure on what you want to do with your bullet journal. Would I recommend buying it? Probably not, just because there's so much of that information freely available online. Including blogs like mine. I'll have a link down below if you're interested. So again, it's probably out of print, so hard to find anyway, but I will have some links to some other more recent guidebooks if you do like having just a book that you can refer to rather than the massive information that's freely available on the internet. I'll have some links to other ones down below that maybe you want to have a look at the reviews of those, which are still available for purchase on sites like Amazon. Anyway, I hope you found this review helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. I usually do a new bullet journal notebook or a planner review each week.